They thought they could get away with murder, but her revenge left them blind. Today, we're diving into the 2021 thriller The Voyeurs, so keep your eyes wide open and stay safe. The story begins with a young couple, Pippa and Thomas, who move into their first apartment in bustling Montreal. Their excitement turns into curiosity when they realize their windows have a perfect view into the apartment across the street. Through those wide glass panes, they spot a man who seems to be a professional photographer, snapping shots of a stunning woman. One night, their innocent glances turn into an intimate spectacle as they see the couple engage in private moments. While Thomas initially keeps watching, he eventually stops at Pippa's urging. To keep things light, they even give their neighbors fake names, Margot and Brent. Pippa, who's working hard as a trainee optometrist at L'Optique, receives a thoughtful housewarming gift from her boss, a bird feeder. But instead of focusing on birds, she surprises Thomas with a new toy, binoculars. With these, they dive deeper into their new favorite pastime, watching Margot and Brent. What they discover is shocking. Brent isn't just snapping photos, he's also sneaking around with models while Margot is away. As the scenes across the street heat up, so do things between Pippa and Thomas. They begin exploring their own fantasies, inspired by the steamy view. But as they say, the closer you look, the darker the secrets. What seems like harmless voyeurism soon turns into a tangled web of obsession, lies, and danger. At work, Pippa shares her growing curiosity about the neighbors with her friend Ari. Ari listens but doesn't seem too convinced about Pippa's interest. Later, Pippa gets even more intrigued and asks Thomas if there's a way they can hear what's going on across the street. That's when Thomas comes up with a clever idea, using a laser pointer and a reflective surface to pick up sound from the other apartment. He explains how the laser beam can bounce back, carrying sound vibrations to their listening device. Things take a wild turn when Brent and Margot host a Halloween costume party in their apartment. Pippa and Thomas see this as their chance to sneak in and get a closer look. Disguised as guests, they blend into the crowd, pretending to enjoy the festivities. But Pippa has a hidden agenda. She plants a small mirror in the apartment, setting the stage for her and Thomas to listen to private conversations later. What they overhear leaves them shaken. Margot confronts Brent about his cheating, clearly distressed and looking for answers. Instead of admitting the truth, Brent turns the tables, manipulating her and insisting her suspicions are all in her head. The confrontation takes a dark turn as Brent becomes violent, leaving Pippa and Thomas deeply unsettled by what they've witnessed and now heard. The next day, the mystery deepens when Margot, whose real name is Julia, shows up at L'Optique for an eye exam. Pippa, caught off guard, helps Julia pick out new glasses and even gets invited to hang out with her. It's an awkward moment, knowing what she's seen through those windows, but Pippa plays it cool. Back home, Pippa wrestles with what to do next. She feels like Julia deserves to know about her husband's cheating, but Thomas has had enough. He tells Pippa to stop spying on the neighbors and urges her to cancel her plans with Julia. Despite Thomas's warnings, Pippa meets Julia later that week at a relaxing spa. As they chat, Julia opens up about her life. She shares that her husband, whose real name is Sebastian, though he goes by Seb, is a famous photographer. Julia reveals more about her past, explaining how she used to be a model, but she left that world behind, tired of feeling like her value was measured by an industry that could be so cruel. The conversation feels heavy for Pippa, who now knows even more about the cracks in Julia's life. This friendship is getting complicated, and Pippa can't shake the weight of the truth she's hiding. Pippa's curiosity reaches a new level when she watches Seb having a threesome in his apartment. She sees him carelessly toss a condom away afterward, a detail that sticks with her. Feeling a sense of duty to reveal the truth, Pippa discovers how to connect to Julia and Seb's wireless printer. Using this access, she anonymously sends Julia a message exposing Seb's infidelities, even mentioning the condom as proof. Pippa feels like she's helping, but when Thomas finds out, he's furious. He confronts her, frustrated with how obsessed she's become with the lives of their neighbors. The next morning, guilt weighs heavy on Pippa. She apologizes to Thomas and promises to stop watching Julia and Seb altogether. But before they can put everything behind them, the unthinkable happens. From their window, they see Seb rushing into the bathroom, only to find Julia's lifeless body. It looks like she took her own life, slitting her throat in despair. The sight is horrifying, and Thomas is quick to place blame on Pippa. Overwhelmed by grief and anger, Thomas decides he can't stay. He breaks up with Pippa and leaves, leaving her alone to grapple with the consequences of her actions. Even though her heart is broken, Pippa can't seem to let go of her obsession with Seb. One evening, she follows him to a nearby pub. To her surprise, Seb sits right next to her, starting up a conversation. As they talk, Seb shares his twisted view of relationships, arguing that sleeping with other people is no different from masturbation and shouldn't count as cheating. Pippa, trying to make sense of it all, mentions Aesop's fables, but Seb flips the topic. He claims that Aesop wrote those stories for his slaves, saying they were meant to give them a way to cope with repression. Their strange connection deepens when Seb invites Pippa to his apartment for a photo shoot. Caught up in the moment, she agrees, And before long, Seb convinces her to pose nude. The night takes an even darker turn when Pippa and Seb end up sleeping together. Meanwhile, back at their apartment, Thomas finds a drink Pippa had left in the refrigerator. Unknowingly, he pours it into the bird feeder and then looks out the window, only to see Pippa with Seb across the street. His heartbreak and betrayal are clear. The next morning, Pippa wakes to a horrifying discovery. Thomas is dead in their apartment, having apparently taken his own life. The weight of everything crashes down on her, leaving Pippa lost in guilt and grief. Pippa, still shaken by everything that's happened, decides to attend Seb's art exhibition with her friend Ari. When they arrive, Pippa is shocked to discover that the exhibition isn't just Seb's work, it's a collaboration with Julia, who is very much alive. The surprises don't stop there. Pippa and Thomas are revealed to be the main subjects of the exhibition. Every private moment they thought was secret is now on display for the world to see. Seb and Julia smugly reveal that they own the apartment Pippa and Thomas rented. To make matters worse, the lease included a hidden clause granting permission for them to be photographed. Seb and Julia admit they knew Pippa and Thomas had been watching them all along, turning the tables in the cruelest way. Feeling betrayed and humiliated, Pippa storms out of the exhibition. She decides it's time to leave the apartment for good, but as she packs, something strange catches her eye. A pile of dead birds lying beneath the grate under her bird feeder. That's when the truth hits her like a lightning bolt. Pippa realizes that Thomas didn't take his own life. He was poisoned. The drink he'd poured into the feeder had been tampered with, and now Pippa knows there's more to uncover about Seb and Julia's twisted game. After their exhibition's success, Seb and Julia return home to a surprise. A fancy bottle of wine sits by their door with a congratulatory note. Thinking nothing of it, they toast to their victory and drink. Not long after, their printer whirs to life, delivering a chilling message. "I know you killed Thomas." The words come from Pippa, who's been watching them closely. She lures Seb and Julia to l'optique, where she finally puts the pieces together in front of them. Pippa accuses them outright, revealing her theory. While she was distracted with Seb, Julia poisoned Thomas's drink and staged his suicide. Seb and Julia try to defend themselves, but Pippa isn't done. With icy resolve, she reveals the wine they drank was spiked. Soon, Seb and Julia collapse, unconscious. When they awaken, they're strapped under a LASIK machine, helpless. Pippa takes her revenge by using the machine to burn their retinas, leaving them blind. Time passes, and a new couple moves into the apartment Pippa and Thomas once shared. From their window, they notice Seb and Julia stumbling around their own apartment, now blind and broken. Meanwhile, Pippa stands on a rooftop, silently watching her handiwork. She leaves her binoculars behind, walking away from the past and into her future. So, which awesome movie should we recap next? Drop your suggestions in the comments below and let's make it happen. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button so you never miss out on our movie recaps. We've got plenty more coming your way. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Produced by Warner Movie Recaps.